Okie dokie, we are live. We are live. Talking some boxing, the usual shit. The usual shit. Good weekend coming up, of course. The fight I'm looking out for is Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams. Really looking forward to that fight. I like a good domestic dust-up. And that's a pretty well-matched fight. I think Eubank Jr. wins, to be honest. But it's a good fight. It's a competitive fight. Sadiq Boxing, big up, bro. How you doing, man? How you doing? And also this weekend, we have the return of Keith Thurman. He's fighting Mario Barrios. I'm picking Keith Thurman to win, but he needs to look good. He can't afford to look bad or shoddy. Keith Thurman needs to remind people, he needs to show what he's got left, and he needs a good performance. If he fails to look good against Mario Barrios, I'll put a fork in him at that point in time. Because reality is, any top welterweight would dust Mario Barrios comfortably inside the distance. So, Keith Thurman needs to put on a good show this weekend if he's going to have any success in the welterweight division. And also on DAZN, we have Carlos Cuadras versus Jesse Bam Rodriguez. That's a really good fight. Jesse Rodriguez, one of the best prospects in boxing. I believe he's like 14-0, something like that. He's stepping up, he's moving up in weight on short notice to fight Carlos Cuadras. That's a great fight as well. So this weekend, definitely the strongest weekend of the year so far. January wasn't great, as we know. This weekend's looking good. Vermin Linchenko, hey man, how's things? I'm good, bro. I'm pretty good. I've got Barrios. Thurman's been out of the ring for too long. That's the thing. Honestly, if that's the only way I see Barrios winning, if Thurman has anything left, he'll win that fight. But it's what he does have left. What does he have left? We don't know. He's been out of the ring now since July 2019, 2.5 years. A lot of injuries as well previously. So he might be shot. We shall see. We'll find out more about Keith Thurman this weekend. I think he'll still win, but I don't think he's going to look good. And to me, that's not enough. Winning is not enough in this fight. He needs to win and look good. As simple as that. Lee Davis, big up to Lee. How you doing, Lee? Hopefully you're well. Big up to True Crime with G-Man. Big up to True Crime. G-Man's got a great boxing channel as well. He's one of the best boxing channels on YouTube, in my opinion. Down the middle, calls it how he sees it. Well spoken. G-Man's one of the best boxing channels on YouTube. And also check out True Crime with G-Man. Really good true crime channel if you like that sort of thing. Andre, big up to Andre. Hopefully you're well. Vermin says, love the fact you're doing a boxing channel too. By the way, for me, I got Thurman still. He was my favourite fighter for a long time. I agree, though, he needs a KO win. Yeah, I always used to like Keith Thurman. When he was coming up, when he was fighting the likes of Soto Caras, and before that, I was a big believer in Keith Thurman. I'm not saying he would have, gone on to be a pound-for-pound star, but I was expecting a lot more than what he's done. He's got a couple of good wins. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, they are good wins. But I don't know. I don't really think he's fulfilled his potential, Keith Thurman. And I say the same about Errol Spence now. It's a shame. It's a shame when you see a guy who you rated not really fulfill what you thought he would be. It's a shame. Buy the crypto dip. I'll have a look, bro. I'll have a look. My Tuesday's going on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 6.5. Not great, not bad. Yeah, I mean, that's a big step up. He's moving up in weight as well, Andre Bam Rodriguez. And Cuadras has been at Superfly for a little while now. So that's definitely a risky fight. I'd like to see Bam win, to be honest, for fresh blood and all that. So we'll see. I'm going to say Bam Rodriguez in a hard fight. Big up to the Londoner in the sticks. Yodel, has Eddie resurfaced since Friday yet, or has he taken a trip to the Bermuda Triangle with Dillian too? The silence from both of them is getting louder by the hour. Yeah, it's extremely weird, man. It's extremely weird, and it is concerning. I mean, listen, Tyson Fury himself isn't exactly reliable, but Dillian Whyte has pulled out of fights. We saw that with Otto Wallin. He pulled out of the Kubrat Pulev purse bid after Matchroom lost. He rejected a career-high payday to fight Anthony Joshua. The fact that he's so silent, considering his history, is concerning. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I mean, Dillian Whyte right now, Dillian Whyte is the real disappearing man, not Tony Bellew. Not Tony Bellew. So, where's Dillian? Who knows? We'll start calling him Madeline soon. You know? Madeline Whyte. Or Dillian McCann. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, G-Man. It's weird. I'll say Fury, late stoppage or on points. Late stoppage or points. I don't think Fury is going to get rid of him early on. Dubois wins in 4 rounds, Andre. Trevor Bryan, I saw his fight with Jonathan Goodry and also obviously against Verne, and he does not impress me whatsoever. He's as slow as a sloth. He's got an okay jab, but he carries too much weight. He's not the biggest puncher. He's not the most athletic. He's slow, upright. I think Dubois goes through him within 4 rounds, I would say. I got Dubois. Yeah, it was around that time. Once he fought Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, he just wasn't the same fighter. I know he got a lot of injuries and whatnot. That doesn't help. But I think really with Keith Thurman, he just made his money and he wasn't as hungry after that. And I understand that. I think I'd be the same, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Exactly cool, 212. Dillian Whyte, AJ, and Hearn are on the same milk carton. Yeah, I've got Dubois as well, Sadiq. I've got Dubois. Thurman's problem is he got married. Yeah, he got domesticated. Perhaps Father Time got the best of him. He just ain't the same anymore, to be honest. But I will always support Thurman. Yeah, I don't think you'll see Thurman get any top wins from here on out. He might get another big fight, but I don't think he'll win it. Just too long out of a ring, too many injuries. He cuts a lot of weight going down to welterweight as well. I can't really see Keith doing much. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they use Keith to try and feed to Jaron Ennis. George Orwell said, people's problem will be their ability to adapt. Fuck cryptos, NFTs, etc. Listen, if I can make some money, I'll try. That's a weird fight. Chris Jenkins versus Julius Ndongo on the Eubank Williams undercard. Extremely weird fight, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Yeah, that's what I think too. I agree, G-Man. Although the silence is a bit concerning, I do think he'll take the fight. Like you say, where else can he go, really, Dillian Whyte? And especially after all of the talk we've heard in the last year or so about his title shot. If he were to pull out now, it's a PR disaster. I think even the Matchroom super fans would struggle to justify that. So I think he'll fight Tyson Fury. Dillian Whyte's probably trying to promote the fight as little as possible. Yeah, I've heard that theory, and that could be right. But still, you're not only promoting the fight, you are promoting yourself. And this is Dillian Whyte's biggest stage so far in his career. So not promoting the fight to spite the promotion is kind of cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're not only promoting the fight, you're promoting yourself. So I think Dillian should reconsider. But yeah, Dillian, we'll see. We'll see. I think he'll take the fight. I do think he'll take the fight. And now it's been set, I want to see it. Obviously, I prioritized Undisputed, but now this is what we've got. I want to see it. And I do think Dillian has a puncher's chance. I think he hits hard enough to hurt Fury or drop him. It's whether he can keep him there. Albanian boxer. Imagine if Sakalovsky beats Wallin. Remember, Sakalovsky's been active and Wallin hasn't. Yeah. Otto Wallin is returning on the Eubank Jr. undercard. He's fighting Kamil Sakalovsky in a 6-rounder. Now, I like Sakalovsky, but I'd imagine Wallin has too much. But you never know. You never know. And by the way, I am actually really looking forward to that Eubank Jr. versus Liam Williams fight. Really looking forward to it. I like domestic boxing when it's done right. Bit of a rivalry, a bit of back and forth. I think this is going to be a good fight. I've got Eubank Jr., but given Eubank Jr.'s new style, I'm not quite as confident as I would have been maybe 2 years ago. If this fight was made 2 years ago, I would confidently pick Eubank Jr. to win, and more than likely by late stoppage. But this whole Roy Jones Jr. thing, I'm not sure it's really right for Chris Eubank Jr. I'm not sure. We'll see. But it's a good fight, and I enjoyed the Gloves Are Off. That episode was pretty good. A lot of people were moaning about it, saying it was boring, but I find Chris Eubank Jr. really entertaining. The way he talks down to his opponents, the way he trash talks. I find it entertaining. He's really condescending, really arrogant. I kind of like that. It's kind of fun. Yeah, basically, Trevor Bryan is like he's got a target on his back. He's easy work for any top heavyweight. Any top 20 heavyweight beats Trevor Bryan. Any of them. What do you think they will do with Usyk? I thought Fury was going to fight him, but Whyte is the choice for some reason. Yeah. Again, what is the situation with that? That's been quite silent recently. Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. I don't think Team Joshua wants that fight right now. I really don't. But really, again, where else do they have to go? Where else can they go? If they said after that first fight, we're going to go a different direction. I'm going to get a new trainer. I'm going to learn my craft. I'm going to adjust and get better. If Anthony Joshua said that directly after the Usyk fight, I don't think anybody reasonable would have had a problem with that, him not fighting in that rematch. But the fact he's left it for 4 months and it still hasn't been signed isn't a good look. It's not a good look. And if he pulls out now, that's a flat out duck. If he was going to pull out, that decision should have been made right after that first fight. And I would have accepted it and understood it. So we'll see. It's interesting, bro. I agree, actually, Albanian boxer. I would take Florian Marku over Chris Jenkins. Yeah, he's decent, Nathan. Stephen Shaw. He's relatively basic, but carries a bit of power. Decent. He's well schooled. So, yeah, I would say Jerry Forrest, Carlos Takam, Carlos Negron, somebody along those lines. Big up to Levi Khan every single time. Yeah, Keith Thurman probably wouldn't fight Ennis in the foreseeable future. There's not going to be enough money. That is true, yeah. No, I think Keith Thurman more than likely will try and get the Errol Spence fight. He'll try and get the winner of Spence and Ugas. I think that's what he'll look for. That's a good fight. Chris Congo, Florian Marku. I'd love to see it. Exactly, Levi Khan. I would describe Stephen Shaw as he's like a mid-tier heavyweight prospect. He's not terrible. He's not great, but he is what he is. Trevor Bryan, to me, looks fucking awful. He looks awful. Yeah, I want to see Keith Thurman go for the knockout, James. I've got a prediction video coming out on that fight. I might release it tonight. I might release it tomorrow. We'll see. But I want to see Keith Thurman really, really be aggressive in that fight and try to make a statement. Because let's be honest, people gassed up Mario Barrios after that Tank Davis fight, but Mario Barrios was never really an elite 140 pounder. He was fringe top 10. Fringe top 10. Nobody was calling for Mario Barrios to fight Prograis, Taylor, Ramirez for a reason, because he's not at that level. And at welterweight, that's going to be the case as well. So I'm expecting Keith Thurman to do a job and look good doing it. If he doesn't, I'm going to stick a fork in him. I think that's it. If he can't beat Mario Barrios and stop him and look good doing it, he's done. he's done, in my opinion. So I want to see Keith really go for it, really put on a show. Joe Mama, I'm really looking forward to Bam Bam versus Cuadras. What's your prediction? I think that fight, listen, Bam Bam looks extremely good, very good boxer puncher, hits very hard, young, talented. He looks like the future of the lower weight classes. But Cuadras is an experienced dude. He's bigger. Bam Bam is moving up in weight. I think it's going to be a hard fight, but I do believe Bam Bam will see it through and win. Maybe by late stoppage, but that's a hell of a step up. And I'll tell you what, that's what I like from fighters, especially young fighters. Young fighters who are proactive, confident, and willing to take a chance. And that's exactly what Bam Bam is doing. If he wins this fight, he becomes the WBC champion. So we shall see, man. I like it. I like guys to, roll the dice, and take a risk now and again. It would be embarrassing. Yeah, it would be, Sultan, if Dillian didn't promote this fight because his team didn't win the purse bid. Yeah, it would be embarrassing. See, I think once those two guys are in the press conference, I don't think Dillian has the maturity to hold it together and not bite back. He might do it now, but in the actual press conferences, I think Dillian will get rattled. I really do. Indeed he is, man. Indeed he is. Man, Don King. I mean, Frank Warren, man. He's just made the highest purse bid in history. Frank Warren's on a roll. He's got the MTK money coming in, that drug money. But yeah, Frank's not at the level of Don King just yet. But he's on the slide. He's on the slide. Williams is going to surprise people with his approach to this fight. Hope there's no robbery. Do you think he's going to box, James? I've got a feeling he's going to box, the more I think about it. Because if you watch him early in his career, Liam Williams was more of a boxer-puncher, more so than a swarmer. In recent fights, Williams has been super aggressive. But, primarily I would say he's a boxer-puncher. Go and look at the Mark Heffron fight. He was moving really well, boxing behind the jab. Even that first Liam Smith fight, he was boxing really well early on. So Liam Williams can box. It's whether he can hold it together and stay disciplined to fight that sort of fight. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think that's a really good fight. Yeah, Eubank is ice cold. He is. I like that kind of stoic nature that he puts across. I've never seen that guy rattled or emotional. He's an interesting fighter, Eubank Jr. He's just not really moved as quickly as I would have liked. I saw an interview with Dean Whyte. Wasn't a good look for Team Whyte taking the fight, to be honest. They genuinely feel hurt. Eddie didn't back them more. Yeah, not surprised. Not surprised. I saw the interview as well. It was with a smaller channel, wasn't it? It didn't sound too convincing from Dean Whyte. Lee Davis, I think Liam Williams is going to win a close UD. I'm going to say, I think my official prediction was Eubank on points, maybe late stoppage. I think it's going to be a good fight, though. That fake beard and hairline comment was funny. Yeah. I don't think Eubank's had a beard transplant, though. I think Conor Benn had. He's had a beard transplant. That's weird as fuck. Maybe he's had a hair transplant, but I don't think he's had a beard transplant. Surely not. Surely not. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Diego Chavez. Yeah, he was. Yeah. That was ages ago now, yeah. I'm sorry, but if you get a beard transplant, you're gay. Usyk playing for a Ukraine second league pro soccer team this week in a friendly. Poor AJ doesn't know which way to turn. Exactly. Does Dillian stay with Eddie Hearn after this? Fact he had to turn to Shalom to salvage a deal last minute doesn't look good for Eddie. No, it doesn't. I'm telling you though, Ben Shalom right now is doing really well. Obviously, he got his TV deal with Sky in October. You know, the first couple of shows weren't great as we expected, but you know, this year we do have Eubank versus Williams on regular Sky. That's a really good fight. We have Khan versus Brook. Again, it's not the fight it was. I'm not all that up for it, to be honest, but a lot of people want to see it. He's putting on fights that people care about now, Ben Shalom. He signed a couple of Olympians as well. Listen, Ben Shalom right now, boxer on Sky Sports, they're not out of a race. They are not out of a race. And I think British boxing needs some fresh blood, to be honest. It really does. It needs some fresh blood. Big up to Felipe Percher in the house. Big up to Felipe. Yeah, I wonder if Whyte will be having a go at Hearn now he didn't win the purse bid. I wonder, will that shoulder injury reoccur? It makes you wonder, bro. But again, it's like, what else is out there? The only thing I can think of is if Joshua doesn't fight Usyk, maybe you could do Joshua versus Whyte too. That's the only other possible option I can think of. That's it. Well, apart from that, where else can Dillian Whyte go? In terms of like a big money fight or a title shot? So did I, but under in the sticks. Even though Chris comes across as an absolute douche, he really does play the villain well, and his trash talk game is on point. I agree. He's well spoken, he's articulate, but he's extremely condescending. He's extremely arrogant. I kind of like that style of trash talk, to be honest. Not many guys can pull it off. I like it personally. And honestly, I don't think Eubank Jr. necessarily says anything that's outlandish or like degenerate or anything like that. He just has a way of just getting under your skin, which I like. Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, Furman Barrios on pay-per-view at $75. That's a joke. Yeah, I wouldn't pay it if I was out there. Joshua's hand is almost forced now, and like most, I'm firmly picking Usyk. There's so many red flags with AJ, but in my opinion, he ain't winning the rematch. Yeah, he's not even sorted his trainer yet. 4 months later, and when does this rematch clause expire? By the way, it has to expire at some point. I heard a rumor about late February. That's what I heard. How true that is, I don't know. But it's 4 months now. It's 4 months now. There's been no COVID. There's been no acts of God. There's been nothing like that. This is purely on Joshua and his team. This is purely on Joshua. Dicking around looking for a new trainer. That's not even been sorted yet. So when are we going to get this rematch? Is it going to happen? Who knows? Who knows? Big up to Bruce Goes, man. Big up to Bruce. Who would you like to see Subriel Matias fight next? Danger Man at 140. His last fight was brutal. He just hurts opponents. And Ian was tough as nails. Yeah. I think now Matias has made the last 4 opponents retire in their corners. That's the sort of style he has. He's not like a one-hitter quitter, but he's heavy-handed and he throws a lot of punches. He wears you down. But in answer to your question, who would I want to see Matias fight next? I'd like to see him fight the Argentinian, Jeremias Ponce, who beat Lewis Ritson. I think that'll be a good fight. I'd love to see Matias fight the winner of Victor Postal and Gary Antoine Russell. That's another great fight. But yeah, big up to Bruce Goes, by the way. He's got a channel as well, so check him out. Big up to Bruce. Hergovich versus Dave Allen. It's looking like a Hergovich versus Zili Zhang right now. That's what I think will happen. Albanian boxer. Shame Abel Ramos, Josecito Lopez is off. Was looking forward to it. Santa Maria's a decent replacement, though. Yeah, Santa Maria's decent. He's coming off a win over Devon Alexander. He also beat Michael Fox, who obviously recently got robbed against Maestra. So he's a good replacement, Santa Maria. That's crazy, man. Usyk's one of those guys, though. He's naturally athletic. Like he could turn his hand to a lot of different sports. Alexander Usyk. I agree, Bruce. Yeah, Trevor Bryan won that fight clearly. It wasn't a split, but yeah, I agree. But he's still trash, like you said. Exactly, Nathan. He was a decent, run-of-the-mill contender. That's what he was. But obviously, I wouldn't say he would beat any of the champions. I wouldn't pick him to beat the likes of Matthias, Arnold Barboza. I think he's lower level top 10 at 140, and going to 147, he's not even top 10. So, yeah, I did see that, the Londoner. I did see that. That's extremely interesting. Very interesting. I'm telling you, man, Ben Shalom, he's not fucking around. He's a young dude. He built that company from the ground up, doing like little tournaments, and now he's got a contract on Sky Sports. I hope he does well. I'd like to find out a bit more about him, where he came from, etc., how he got into it. Yeah, Ergashev retired at 140. Yeah, he was a good prospect. He was unbeaten as well. And yeah, that would have been a great fight, Nathan. Yes, big up to Matt, man, one of the long-time viewers. Been here since, well, he's been here a long fucking time at this point. So big up to Matt. Hopefully you're well, bro. Hopefully you had a good Christmas and New Year. I know we're fucking a month away now, but hopefully you had a good time over the holidays. And big up to yourself, man. Big up to BG London. Salute. Yeah, exactly. No way that fight makes money. Needs 1.6 million buys at 25 pounds UK to break even. Exactly. Yeah. I know there's going to be a pay-per-view in America as well, but those numbers are going to be poor in America. I know people like Tyson Fury out there, but nobody really knows Whyte like that. So I think the fight will lose money on the surface, but, there could be anything. There's a whole host of things that could have been done behind the scenes. So maybe they agreed to Tyson Fury beforehand. We're going to pay you this, but we're going to bid a higher amount. So essentially, that does happen in purse bids. So they'll say before the purse bids to their fighter, we're going to pay you this much, but we're going to go over that in the purse bids to secure the fight. It might be one of those occasions, if that makes sense. I thought Machunu won that fight. I thought Machunu won. I had it like, I would say like 8 rounds to 4, something like that. Yeah, that Don King struggle poster. Yeah, that shit was straight out of Microsoft Paint. Again, it depends on who you believe, Sultan. Because it came from Eddie Hearn first, right? And you have to take that with a grain of salt. But when Igis Klima said that we agreed to everything that you wanted, and then you decided to go a different route, that's when I started to think to myself, is there something in this? Because Team Usyk have never lied. Team Usyk have always took the hardest fights, and they've always fulfilled their promises. Whereas I can't say the same for Tyson Fury. So who am I going to believe? Team Usyk or Team Fury? To me, it's quite simple. It's Team Usyk, sorry, all day long. So I'm taking Team Usyk's word for it. I'm taking Igis Klimas's word for it. I don't think he's a no nonsense type of guy. Yeah, he's stressed, bro. He's stressed. I mean, listen, it's hard. I'm disappointed by that. I wanted to see. I liked Andrade versus Janibek. Andrade versus Parker. I mean, it could be okay. We don't really know how good Parker is, to be honest. So who knows? But I wanted to see Andrade Janibek. Yeah, I thought that was a shit decision, bro. That's what I'm saying. Gup Dara. That's what I'm saying. He's had a lot of opportunities, Dillian Whyte. And now he's got the biggest fight of his career for the biggest payday for the WBC title, and he's gone radio silent. Where is this dude? Where is this dude? Is this dude in Praia da Luz in Portugal with Madeleine McCann? Where is this guy? Dillian McCann man is what I'm going to call him from now on. Or Madeleine Whyte. Where is this guy, man? I've never heard Dillian this quiet. Yeah, Shalom is of course he's good at business. Exactly. Indeed. But he kind of came out of nowhere, this Ben Shalom guy. He kind of came out of nowhere. Listen, I'm not a big fan of Dillian, but Dillian is more proven in the heavyweight division, so I wouldn't say Hrgovic 100%, but I still might favour him stylistically. I can't disrespect Dillian that much. I can't disrespect him that much. Yeah, I don't think he will, Sultan. I think he'll take this fight. He has to. Yeah, if you get a beer transplant, you're crushing it in the gym. Exactly. Crushing it in the gym, mate. Yeah, they're gone, man. These guys are MIA. MIA. They're gone. Where the fuck are these guys? Usyk versus Whyte next is possible. That'd be interesting. I'd watch that. I wouldn't be disappointed with that, to be honest. If Dillian Whyte did that, I wouldn't be that disappointed, if I'm being honest. Let's say he said, fuck you, Tyson Fury, and fought Alexander Usyk. I wouldn't call that a duck. I wouldn't call that a duck. Exactly, bro. That's what most people talk about, though. Is who's making what, who's done this, who's done that, networks, promoters, etc., etc., etc. Most people don't really talk about the fights anymore. That's what I've noticed with the YTBC. It's always about some political bullshit, like boxing politics, trying to rile up trying to rile up a different group within the YTBC. It's all that sort of shit now. It's not really boxing talk anymore. Like, I was listening to a live stream the other day. I'm not going to name their names, but I checked it out because I don't really fuck with this channel, but I checked it out. And I was listening for like a good 40 minutes, I would say. And I swear to God, the whole conversation was purse bids and all that shit. And who's made this, who's made that, who does this, who does that, A side, B side, politics. That's all the talk was. And I understand you have to talk about that sometimes. I understand that. But, like, still, people overdo it. People overdo it. It's madness. Yeah, he just needs to get active. Otto Wallin. I don't blame him for taking this sort of fight. Fonzie, big up to Fonzie. Winner of Golovkin Murata should face the winner of Eubank Williams. I'd like to see it. Particularly if it's Eubank. But honestly, this is what I think DAZN want to do. This is my theory. It's not based on anything. But I've got a feeling you're going to see Golovkin beat Murata whenever that happens, April, May, whenever. And I think you're going to see end of the year, Golovkin versus Munguia on DAZN. I think that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and make Munguia, they're going to try and feed Golovkin to Munguia, and they basically hope that Golovkin is past it. That's what I think is going to happen. I really believe we're going to get that fight end of the year, Golovkin-Munguia. Really believe it. That's my bet for like one big fight that will happen this year is Golovkin-Munguia, and I'd like to see it, by the way. I'd like to see it. Just got a feeling that's going to happen. That's why I think Munguia is operating the way he is. Not fighting Andrade, not being particularly bothered about eliminators. I think he's waiting for Golovkin. I really do. I really do. Michael Benson just retweeted some latest Tommy Fury shit talk saying he still wants to fight Jake Paul. He's clearly recovered from that debilitating cold, broken rib he had. What an absolute melt. Yeah, Tommy Fury Listen, I wouldn't watch that guy if he was fighting in my fucking living room. I'd close the door. Disappointing, Nathan. That's the best way I can describe it. As you said, disappointing. Regis Prograis to me is extreme. He's extremely talented, beautiful style to watch, puncher, aggressive. He can do it all. He can do it all. Really skilled fighter, but he's in no man's land. He's in no man's land. I wonder whether he's waiting for the titles to become vacant. Maybe that's what he's doing. Honestly, I'm not a fan of female boxing, but I'd like to see Serrano win because she's better looking. That's as far as I can go, bro, because I've not really seen either fight that much. They can't get away with it. They can't get away with it, Mr. Relax. They can't get away with it. Not in my opinion. Yeah, he's going to knock him out to the body, Levi Khan. Yeah, won't be surprised if they do. He clearly doesn't want to fight Andrade or Charlo. Hasn't wanted to for ages now. I think you'll get Golovkin versus Munguia. I really do. Yeah, I remember Zlakatishin beating Ricky Burns as well years ago. Yeah, 1,000 days are mandatory. Whyte's been crying for 1,000 days. If he does not want to fight now, wow, that would be seriously dumb and a big waste of everyone's time. His reputation will sink like the Titanic, as will his viewing figures. I agree, Scotty. I agree. I can't see any other way, realistically, of how he can get out of that fight. I can't really see it. Shalom was on Bunce's podcast saying the reason Whyte turned to him was that he has no enemies yet. Hopefully he pushed Eddie out of the picture. Yeah. And I like what I hear from Ben Shalom. He seems to know his stuff. Oh, yeah. Hrgovic will destroy Zhilei Zhang. He'll destroy Zhilei Zhang. That fight makes more sense, Nathan. All of those fights make more sense, especially Ritson McKenna. That would be a great fight. Prograis versus Ponce, or Martin. Exactly, that sort of fight. I've heard him a couple of times on Sky Sports, but he's not, for a promoter, he's very reserved, which he needs to work on. He needs to get himself out there a bit more. But, he's fresh-faced. He speaks well when he does speak, so we'll see. I'd like to see it. But there are rumors, though. I heard rumors a few weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, maybe, that Gassiev could be retiring. That's what I heard. There's a lot of rumors going around about Gassiev potentially retiring. I'm hoping Parker KOs Andrade. He's a duck. First time he was supposed to fight a top 5 to 6 fighter, he vacates. Yep, that's how I see it, bro. I wouldn't blame him if he had other options at 168 or even at middleweight. I wouldn't necessarily blame him as much, but he's got no options. He's got no options whatsoever. So you're vacating to fight Zach Parker. You're saying that Janabek brings nothing to the table. Not a big name. Zach Parker's not a big name. He's not even a world champion at all. So what makes Zach Parker a more credible opponent than Janabek? Janabek's got better wins. Zach Parker's the same guy who got a gift decision against Darryl Williams and never went back to right that wrong. But this guy's a better opponent. And people say, well, he's going to 168 to get to be mandatory for Canelo. That's irrelevant. Canelo's not going to fight him. Andrade does nothing for Canelo Alvarez. Nothing. Are people seriously suggesting they'd rather see Canelo Andrade than Canelo Beterbiev or Bivol or even Charlo? I'd rather see Charlo fight Canelo than Andrade. Canelo's got better options. He's not going to fight Andrade, whether he's Mando or not. That simple. That is true. See ya, Vermin. I mean, he's not obligated to, but I think he's being silly. He's being silly because, like I said earlier, it's not just about promoting the fight, it's about promoting yourself. And this is the biggest stage that Dillian's been on. So he'd be a fool not to take advantage of it, in my opinion. But if he doesn't, he doesn't. You know? But yeah, big up to Vermin. Nice to see you, man. First time I've seen you here. Big up to Vermin. Same. So did I, Nathan. So did I. No, you can. If you agree with your fighter beforehand, you can absolutely do that. That's boxing for you. That's what I've heard anyway, Levi. But I've heard that goes on. I've heard that goes on. You're crushing it in the gym. That could be. Yeah, arbitration must be a reason for Dillian and Eddie hiding out. But an update would be nice for us fans. Exactly. It wouldn't be a problem if Dillian didn't have a history of pulling out and turning down certain fights. It wouldn't be a problem then. But the fact he does, he's pulled out of a Wallin fight. He turned down a career high payday to fight Joshua. You know, he pulled out of a Pulev purse bids. He's got a history, so the fact he's not talking is a bit concerning. Yeah, Neri versus Castro is a good fight. Like you say, Castro is a good boxer. He's a good straight puncher. He moves well. His power's not great, but it's okay. Neri has not been right ever since he tested positive for PEDs. So that could go either way. I see that as 50-50. 50-50. I think Golovkin's retiring after Murata. You might be right. I think he's got 2 fights left with the zone, if I'm not mistaken. It's 2 or 3, something like that. I've just got a feeling you're going to see Munguia this year. Just something that tells me that. I don't know why. I might be completely wrong. But it's more so the way Munguia's being moved. I think the zone want that fight. I really do. I think the zone are desperate for that fight. And I think Munguia is as ready as he can be for that fight. Golovkin's 40 now. Munguia's got more experience than he did a couple of years ago. Munguia's ready. If he's going to beat Golovkin, it's going to be now. So you might as well chuck him in. And if he were to win that fight, that's huge for the zone because you've got a new star. That's what I think they're going to try and do. Maybe after the purse bid, Dillian sent some henchmen back to Brixton Mandem to kick off out of the Matchroom HQ doors and kidnap Eddie Hearn, who's been tied up in a trap house somewhere for the last 96 hours. You could be right. You could be right. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Just imagine how different the boxing world would be if guys didn't avoid Golovkin, yeah. But you can say that about a lot of fighters, man. But Golovkin in 2012 to like 2015, no, I'd say 2010 to 2015, he was so avoided. And it hurt his legacy in regards to getting names on the resume. You know, but it is what it is. I mean, what can you say? It is what it is. Yeah, I don't mind. I quite like Serrano. I quite like Serrano. When you have Aquaman and The Rock riding your nuts, you're definitely selling in the UK and USA. Fury's a casual favourite now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his name value has gone through the roof in the last sort of 3 years. Basically, ever since that first Wilder fight. And to be honest, I don't like Tyson Fury, but the job they've done with him and the job he's done for himself promotionally in the USA has been extremely impressive. It has been impressive. You know it, man. You know it, BG London. You know it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, the last thing about women's fights, Clarissa Shields or the other chick, both ugly, so you may have a hard time picking. Yeah, you mean Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall? I've not really seen either fight that much, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, both are not my cup of tea. Maybe Vector 04. I hope Valdez doesn't pussy out. I think Stevenson beats him. I really do. I think Stevenson beats him. And I'll tell you what, if Stevenson wins that fight, that's a couple of good back-to-back wins over Herring and Valdez. That'll be a good little run. And he's only, 23? That's a good start to a resume. That's a good start to a resume. So if Shakur takes this fight and wins, he's on the right path. He's on the right path. That's what I want to see from these young fighters. Like we see with Jesse Rodriguez fighting Cuadras on a week's notice. Young boy, young prospect fighting Cuadras on a week's notice. This is what I want to see. I want to see these young fighters come through now and really make their bones. And Shakur Stevenson right now is going in the right direction. So you're not going to hear me criticize Shakur right now. Great win over Jamel Herring. I felt he looked very good, boxed really well, a bit more aggressive than we're used to seeing. And I want to see him continue that. You could be right, Larry. You never know. But I think a lot of people are underestimating Alexander Usyk. I think a lot of people are underestimating him. I really do. I think he will, Jay. I think he will. Yeah, Boo Boo's been a pro for 14 years and not fought a champion yet, in a time where there's been at least 5 champions per division. That is staggering, Sultan. That is staggering. Yeah, he's looked good in his last couple of fights, Zach Parker. He's got the knockouts. He's looked quite devastating, but against a low level of competition. Sorry, I'm fucking burping. So that's, yeah. We'll see. Conor Benn comes over so bad. On Ade's podcast, he was moaning people think he's cocky, then spent 10 minutes talking about his house, his cars, watches, and how big his purses are. Zero self-awareness. Exactly, yeah. I don't like Conor Benn at all. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like Conor Benn. It's weird because he kind of grew on me after like the Formea fight. He kind of grew on me a bit, but the more I heard this guy talk, I don't like this guy. I find Chris Eubank Jr. far more entertaining. He's far more well spoken, and I think he's a better fighter, to be honest. Eubank Jr. I just prefer Eubank Jr.'s gimmick or his whole aura. I don't like Conor Benn at all. Doesn't come across as a particularly nice person, to me at least. I might be wrong. He might be a very nice guy, but I think he comes across as a prick. Just being honest. Big up to John Gonzalez, man. Andrade's a fraud. He ducked Derevianchenko, Jamel Charlo, Jacobs, and Lara. Now he's ducking Janibek. He's just taking easy fights, playing it safe to get a payday from Canelo. That's exactly it. I'm not saying he's not had any bad luck. Like the Billy Joe Saunders fight wasn't his fault. That was bad luck. I get that. He's had some bad luck, but he's avoided fighters. And his fanboys, I keep on hearing his fanboys bring up when Canelo said, I don't like Canelo, by the way, as you guys know, but they bring up when Canelo said, oh, he's a boring fighter. He's a boring fighter. And they say that's code for Canelo saying that's a difficult fight and he's ducking, right? The same Andrade fans say nothing about Andrade saying the exact same thing about Erislandy Lara. The interview is still out there. How Andrade was shitting on Lara's style. He's boring. He doesn't sell. Andrade said the same thing about Lara. But it feels like Andrade is a fucking charity case. Like everyone treats this guy like a charity case. Is this guy fucking sponsored by Oxfam or what? I don't get this whole Andrade obsession. I don't get it. I really don't get it. He's a good fighter. He's talented, but he's not made the most of it, and his time's going. He's wasted his career, and you expect me to feel sorry for him. And people like us who work hard and pay, we pay our way in life. We use boxing as an escape, and we're supposed to feel sorry for this guy? No, he's been paid very well for doing not much. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Big up to Matthias Unboxing. I'm driving and listening home, but pissed myself laughing twice, closing the door on Tommy Fury and Serrano because she's hotter. Big up to Matthias Unboxing. And by the way, Matthias has a channel, so check him out. Check him out. Yeah, I love the fight, Mr. Relax. I love it. I love good domestic fights. When there's a bit of needle, there's a bit of beef. Stylistically, it's a good fight as well. Liam Williams, theoretically, is going to come to bring it. Eubank's in pretty good fights. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really good scrap. I've got Eubank Jr. probably on points, maybe late stoppage. But I've got Eubank Jr. Good fight, though. Apparently, it's in negotiations, Lee Davis, according to some things I saw on Twitter. Negotiations. Let's have a look for you. 1 second. Have a look. I'm fucking terrible with this shit. Viterbiev. Yeah, so according to Michael Coppinger, they're in negotiations for a light heavyweight unification this summer in New York on ESPN. So theoretically, we could get it this summer. Yeah, Dean currently has Eddie wrapped up in a chokehold. Baby Ting's got Eddie hidden somewhere. Dear. Exactly, yeah, that's another thing. If Dillian Whyte wins, he gets a win bonus as well, which would be $11 million. Big up to Hawker Mustang. Fury versus Whyte is a warm-up as Usyk couldn't fight until June, and Big Family wanted an extra $5 million. Big Femi wanted an extra $5 million, asking as Fury is at 40% if he wins. I'm not sure about that, man. I heard somebody say that Usyk had to wait until June, July because he had Ramadan. He's not even a Muslim. I don't get where this June thing's coming from. When he was always scheduled to fight Joshua. I don't get where that's coming from. I don't believe that from Team Fury, I'll be honest. I really don't believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Valdez is going to fight him. He's just going to cheat doing it. I rate Williams' performances versus Smith. Boxed well versus Heffron. Fought dumb versus Andrade. He could give Eubank issues. I think he will do, Jazz. I think he will do. I think he'll make it competitive. He'll win rounds, but not enough. And one thing about Eubank Jr., I think he'll maintain his composure better than Liam Williams. Liam Williams is a bit hot-headed. He is a bit hot-headed, so I've got Eubank. Good fight, though. Honestly, bro, I don't listen to Joe Rogan that much. And I vaguely know about it, but it's much ado about nothing. You know. But the fact people are complaining about it and crying about it and really making a big deal about it, that goes to show what sort of direction this world is going in, and it's not in a good one. It's not in a good one. But yeah, Joe Rogan's fine by me. A little bit. Yeah, Hawker Mustang. Like Frank Warren doesn't have $41 million. He doesn't have $41 million. So he's got that from ESPN and Bob or Daniel Kinahan and MTK. It's one of the two. That's not Frank's money. Yeah, Ben does seem like an arsehole. Shame Joshua's quest to conquer America ended before it started. Very interesting seeing the American perspective. Regardless of how you felt about Joshua and Wilder, Joshua's approach in the media and to the public prior to that fight and talking about that fight was very beta, in my opinion. And I think the Americans saw that. Regardless, we can say I'll be 120 million, but listen to the guy speak. To me, it didn't come across that great. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. We need to talk. We need to forget about Andrade. At least with Devin Haney, he's young. He's very young still. He's 22, 23. So I'm not gonna tar Devin Haney with the same brush. He's got time. But Andrade's 33 years old. He's 10 years older than Devin Haney. He's 33. He might be more than 10 years older. So I got no interest in Devin Haney. Sorry, no interest in Andrade. I do have interest in Haney's career. On the road, listening in, smash the like button and subscribe. Respect all of the chat. Big up to yourself, Mad Chad. Yeah, they'll need a decent sized ref for Fury versus Whyte. It'll most likely get chippy. I agree. Yeah, people mock Frank Bruno, but Frank Bruno, listen, he carried himself correctly. He was a good role model, and he fought tough fighters, win, lose, or draw. And most of the time, he lost. But he was a real fighter. He was a real fighter. Yeah, he has. I was getting down on Joe Smith Jr. recently because of the Vlasov fight and also his reluctance to fight Beterbiev. But now it looks like it's happening. So we'll see. Hopefully it does happen. What I'd like to see, I'd like to see obviously Beterbiev versus Joe Smith, and maybe like Anthony Yard on the undercard because he's Mando for the WBO. Maybe Yard versus, I don't know, some American on the undercard. That would be interesting. Oh, the Saudis did. So that fight was definitely going to take place in June, July. Okay, so you're saying it was the site which made that fight, having yeah. Okay, I understand you, but it seemed like Usyk was happy with that, but Fury wasn't. I wouldn't even call them liberals anymore, bro. These people are deranged, and I'm not really part of a whole left right paradigm anymore. It's just a load of bullshit. But at least like conservatives have a bit of banter. At least, do you know what I mean? Like I'd call myself socially conservative, but I don't vote for any party. I don't really take an interest in genuine politics anymore. Maybe you're right, you're older. Maybe you're right. But again, WBC's rules have a lot of bylaws. So none of those rules are set in stone. So again, it's hard to enforce something like that, I would imagine, especially in the event of like a undisputed fight. So maybe, yeah, maybe. Um, I think Joshua would definitely struggle with Bruno's jab, but I think Joshua might stop him on. He might stop Bruno on his feet with like a combination. He might hurt him with one shot and then kind of jump on him and land like a multi-punch combination. I'd say Joshua by stoppage mid rounds in a competitive fight. Good fight though. When Billy Joe threw half a chicken at Deontay Wilder. Yeah, I'd like to see it. Yeah, Yard versus Callum Johnson. So would I. I like Ramirez, Matt. I like Ramirez, but to be honest, in his last fight, he didn't look so hot, Ramirez. Whereas Bivol looked pretty good. I'd favour Bivol, but Ramirez has a chance. Yeah. Oh, Billy Joe's training again. Okay. Yeah, I think Callum Johnson is 36 now. He's no spring chicken. He's no spring chicken. I think Americans would take to Dillian more than Anthony Joshua. I really do. At least he is who he is. Like you can really say that is Dillian Whyte. That is him. He's not really putting on a show, and he is what he is. He's a rough and ready character. And it's weird because outside the ring, I actually quite like Dillian Whyte. It's just the career progression, the excuses, the pullouts, the fanboys. That's what I don't like about Dillian Whyte. I don't mind him as a person. He doesn't come across that badly, in my opinion, but I think he's actually likable, but it's just the way his career's been managed, which turns me off. And his fights are pretty fun, but again, it's not just about that. Oh yeah, I agree, G-Man. I can't see Billy Joe doing anything. He might try and come back for a big domestic fight. You know, he might try and fight maybe a Eubank, somebody like that, maybe even a Callum Smith. I wouldn't be surprised to see Billy Joe go to 175 to try and fight Callum Smith to cash out. Americans think Joshua's wet. Yeah, basically. Basically. But honestly, people in the UK do, to a certain extent. They don't, you know, like people are asking, oh, when are we going to see the real Joshua and all that shit? People don't really buy into his whole marketing image. RCC released a post saying that Hearn offered Ramirez the Bivol fight after he split with Arum and Ramirez turned it down. Now RCC have told Ramirez to contact them to make the fight, but it seems Ramirez only wants it in America. Yeah, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. It makes a lot of sense for both guys as well. I agree, Blunt Razor. Yeah, boxing's better off without Billy Joe Saunders. Saunders again, another case of wasted talent because he did have talents, but he was never active enough. Didn't live a life outside the ring. Got in trouble too much, and here we are. Here we are. 1 second, lads. I need to turn something off quickly. Turn the heating off. It's fucking hot. You might be right, Vector. I would take Bivol on points now, but I think it'll be a competitive fight. Your old Jesus Christ. Billy Joe Saunders let his people down. He jacked it in a fight. I'm honestly surprised he ain't hung himself. Jesus. Yeah, the too big, too strong nerds, yeah. I don't mind people jumping on the bandwagon or anything like that. It's more so, I don't know. It's more so people who fall for like fake narratives and parrot. That's what pisses me off. Hence why, I don't really get behind Dillian Whyte. That sort of thing pisses me off. Billy Joe Saunders I find more likable than Udell, maybe because some of my friends are degenerate. Laugh out loud. I've never been a fan of Billy, man. He's always irked me, Billy Joe Saunders. He's always irked me. Just a creepy fucking guy, man. Now, he's the type of guy, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets Me Too'd and it's genuine. I wouldn't be surprised. I would take Bruno. Bruno by mid-round knockout, A-Blacks. Bruno mid-round knockout. I think Bruno would ping Whyte's head back with that jab. And Dillian's not necessarily great at closing the distance. I think Frank tenderizes him with that jab and knocks him out with a straight in the mid rounds. It'd be a good fight though. I do think Bruno gets a little bit too much hate at times. Not hate, but ridicule. He wasn't a bad fighter, Frank Bruno, in his day. He was a genuine top 10 heavyweight with one world-class attribute, which was the jab and decent power. Like, he had a world-class jab. That power jab was great. Hatfield, yeah, exactly, bro. Billy Joe Saunders made all of that money, but instead of relocating to somewhere nice, he goes back to Hatfield, yeah. I heard he got into an altercation, but apparently he stabbed somebody else in the hand and pulled a gun on somebody. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's what I heard, Jump Tube. It was Billy Joe Saunders who pulled the knife after being knocked down. Fight was circulating on WhatsApp. That's what I heard as well. I heard something about a gun as well. Honestly. I heard something about a gun. Apparently Billy Joe pulled a gun on some kid. Like, they was having a scrap. Billy Joe got dropped. And obviously Billy Joe didn't like that. Listen, man, Anthony Joshua still knocks out fucking Joshua. Sorry. Anthony Joshua still knocks out Dillian Whyte. Sorry. I don't know what I said then. But yeah, Joshua knocks out Whyte still. Yeah, Joshua lost to Usyk, but he's still a very good heavyweight. And he's better than Whyte. Exactly, Del. I can see Billy Joe Saunders in a similar situation to DT in a couple of years. So can I. No. Billy Joe Saunders. I'd still rather drink with Billy Joe Saunders. I was in Widnes last week near Liverpool, right? And watched Nathan Gorman's young brother tearing it up. He looks vicious and is a talker. What's his name, your old Dara? What's his name? What's his name? I never even knew he had a brother. Yeah, not the first time Billy Joe Saunders got dropped. Yeah, apparently he got dropped by some teenager, some 18-year-old on a traveller site. That's having a tear up, and the kid got the better of him. So there you go. Hang on, I'm gonna get a drink. Okay, Ricky Gorman, Big Rick. Okay, what can you tell me about Michael McKinson's, Virgil Ortiz's next opponents? He is what I would describe. He's got an offbeat rhythm. He's extremely awkward, no power. He likes to switch hit, hands down type of style. He might give Virgil a few problems in the first couple of rounds, but he's getting knocked out. He's not a bad fighter, but he's not world level. Michael McKinson. He's not world level. It should be a gimme for Virgil Ortiz. Oh, that is good news. Yeah, Ergashev has renewed with Salita and will be returning to the US soon. That retirement didn't last long. It laughing my ass off. Good news, though, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ergashev, to me, I wouldn't describe Ergashev as like an A-tier prospect or an A-tier up-and-comer, but he's certainly a fun fighter. I could see him becoming a top 10 contender, maybe challenging for a title along those lines. But he's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. Has Bivol fought any pressure fighters or high-volume fighters in his career? I don't recall. Not sure it's careful matchmaking or coincidence. Joe Smith is a pressure fighter. Joe Smith. Jean Pascal is more of an ambush fighter. Who else is he for? Joe Smith, Jean Pascal, Barrera's a boxer, Chilemba's a spoiler, Salamov's a big lanky puncher. He's fought one pressure fighter in Joe Smith, one elite pressure fighter. But he has fought guys who can punch. Bivol, Pascal, Smith. Right, Dell. Ebony Bridges or Hannah Bagley, one night with either, and after you have to marry Shannon Courtney or Lauren Price. So I'm going to say Hannah Bagley for one night, and I'd rather marry Shannon Courtney. Alvarez. I would call Joe a pressure fighter, to be honest. He is boxing more now. He is working off his jab a lot more, but he's still primarily front foot heavy, likes to get to mid-range and bomb those hooks to body and head. I would still call Joe a pressure fighter, but he's definitely more refined now. Just my opinion. I'd call him a pressure fighter. Like, to me, Elidia Alvarez was a boxer puncher kind of thing. If we're talking about light heavyweights, Kovalev was more of he was a boxer puncher / counter puncher. I think it will do, Jeff. I think it will do, because that would do a huge stadium in the UK. I just don't get why that fight could be in the Millennium Arena in Cardiff. Wherefore art thou Whyte? Indeed. Dillian Whyte is 12-1 since the AJ fight. KO wins over Lewison, Chisora, Tan, Brown, Bakarin, and Povetkin. Points wins over Parker, Chisora, Rivas, Vak, Allen, and lost to KO by Povetkin. Fury must be shitting it, yeah. Listen, if Fury's as good as people say he is, he should win that fight relatively comfortably, let's be honest. That was a crime. Yep. I agree. That would have been a great fight. But to be honest, when they could have fought, so what, late 90s? Back in those days, in the late 90s, you might have picked David Tua. But prime for prime, Mike beats him on points, I'd say. Tua had a great chin. I think he would have gone the distance. Tunde Ajayi is a deluded person. Anthony Yarde should sack him if he wants to achieve anything. I would agree. I think Yarde should move on. But to be fair, they got their tactics spot on against Lyndon Arthur in that rematch. They did. He brought in a couple of new faces and they got it right. So fair play to him. What's next for Parker Dell? Called out Ruiz, but definitely PBC will try to get him in with old man Ortiz. I mean, I don't get why Joseph never fought Filip Hrgović. This guy is a fucking... Listen, Joseph Parker is a good boxer. He does have talent, good speed, good chin. He has good attributes, but his mind is not where it needs to be. It's not where it needs to be. First and foremost, the killer instinct is not there. He should have got Chisora out of there in that rematch. He was beating Chisora from pillar to post. Should have knocked him out, in my opinion. And this whole relationship with Tyson Fury, I'll never fight Tyson Fury. He's my brother. Nobody wants to hear that shit. You're a heavyweight contender. You're not related to Tyson Fury. You're not even from the same fucking country. That's embarrassing. I don't want to hear it. But as for Joseph Parker, who knows? Who knows? I don't think he'll get Ruiz. I think PBC would rather make Ruiz Wilder. Ruiz Wilder or even Ruiz Ortiz. I'm not sure with Joseph Parker, to be honest. I'm not sure. Maybe a Joyce fight, maybe. Not sure. I agree. I hope it happens in the UK. The UK needs that sort of fight, especially after, all of this COVID. The boxing scene in this country has been decimated, especially the small hall shows, where a lot of these young fighters who are, learning their trade, not under a big promoter, their careers essentially got fucking kiboshed. Some of these guys won't come back because they couldn't fight and they had to move on and earn money. So, yeah, I think that the UK needs that sort of fight. It really does. It really does. I think some people go over the top with Tyson Fury. I think he's a very good fighter, very good heavyweight. If you call him number one, fair enough. But he's not unbeatable. He's not unbeatable, like a lot of his fans say he is. Yeah, Parker should go and do taxes. Yeah, he's been disappointing, Joseph Parker. On the come up, he looked really good, and he has had a good career. He's got wins over Chisora, Andy Ruiz, Hughie Fury, Carlos Takam. They're not bad wins, but underwhelming still. Underwhelming. It won't do 500k in America though, John. I can't see it. I don't think so. It's just Joseph Parker's a fucking idiot. Who knows, man? I think Hellenius cracked his chin, cracked his confidence, and you could see in that rematch he wasn't at that level. So yeah, Kaunaki now is going to get recycled and hauled out basically to the up and coming PBC heavyweights. Wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe Frank Sanchez versus Adam Kaunaki, something like that. But he's going to get hauled now. He's going to get hauled out now, in my opinion. By the way, lads, if you could smash that like, it would be much appreciated. It would be much appreciated. Kaunaki got DQ'd and said to the ref, "Come on, man, he's tall." I agree. Londoner in the sticks, 100% agree. Joseph Parker's Team Fury jockstrap chewing is beyond cringe. Man's supposed to be a hardback 6'4" Maori warrior, and he's going on soppy like that. Embarrassment to his heritage. I agree. Yo, speaking of Kaunaki, sorry, not Kaunaki. Speaking of Hellenius, the WBA have ordered Hughie Fury versus Robert Hellenius as some sort of eliminator. I actually quite like that fight. That's quite a good fight. I'll watch it. That'd be a good fight for Sky Sports if they could get that. It's whether PBC allow Hellenius to take it. But I agree, though, Nordic, in regards to Kaunaki. Once he ran into a puncher, it was done. Exactly, yeah. Eddie's quick to shit on Khan and Brooks, saying they're finished, yet the winner would be perfect opponent for Conor Benn, apparently. Exactly. But, to a casual, that's going to go in one ear and out the next. They're not gonna clock onto that. Yeah, Fury's numbers haven't been great in America, to be honest. The second fight did okay. What the second fight did 850k, something like that. Parker versus Harley Quinn, Battle of the Arse Lickers. Yeah, basically, yeah, it's embarrassing. At least Tony Bellew's not active anymore. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I don't like Hughie's style, but I do respect him. He does seem willing to fight good competition, to be fair to him. He's not really a prima donna, Hughie Fury. I just don't like his style that much. And he's a likeable kid as well, Hughie Fury. See, that's what I thought was going to happen, XMB. I honestly thought we was going to get Wilder versus Hellenius as a comeback fight. But is Wilder coming back now? I'm not so sure. If Wilder does come back, to me the Andy Ruiz fight makes sense. Because that's a pay-per-view fight, Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder. And that would do good numbers, I would imagine. I think Wilder KOs Ruiz badly. It's interesting because Wilder's coming off 2 back-to-back bad defeats where he took a lot of punishment. Like Nordic said, he might not be the same. But Andy Ruiz against Chris Aviola looked poor. You know, he looked really poor, man. And Wilder could easily knock that Ruiz out, easily. So it makes sense. Stylistically, it's a good fight as well. Ruiz is, the smaller heavyweight, good on the inside, quick hands. Deontay is the lanky puncher. It's a good fight. That is true, yeah. Hughie doesn't draw enough to be able to be a diva. That is true. Yeah, I agree. Shadow Combat. Yeah, exactly. Hughie can't pop a balloon. That's his biggest problem. I agree. Wilder will come back on Juneteenth, I predict. Maybe. I think the Ruiz fight makes so much sense. It's a big payday. It's a pay-per-view fight. And if he were to win that fight, if Wilder, well, regardless, if Wilder or Ruiz were to win that fight, they're back in the picture. So it makes a lot of sense. Neither do I, John. I think people are going way over the top with Andy Ruiz. Sorry, I burped. Before the Joshua fight, he wasn't a top 10 heavyweight. He wasn't. And honestly, looking now, there's very few people in the top 10 I would pick Andy Ruiz to beat. Let's have a look at the Ring magazine right now. The Ring magazine. Let's have a look at this shit. Who does Andy Ruiz beat? Okay, let's have a look at the rankings. Where are we? Ratings. Oh, piss off, man. Okay, ratings, heavyweight. Okay. So let's go through this list. Andy Ruiz against the following. Tyson Fury, 0 chance. Alexander Usyk, 0 chance. Joshua in a third fight. He's got a chance, but I'd pick Joshua. Deontay Wilder. He's got a chance, but I'd pick Wilder. Dillian Whyte. Ruiz stylistically could beat Dillian Whyte because I think that fight would end up close. He could beat Dillian Whyte. Joseph Parker rematch could go either way, 50-50. Luis Ortiz, I think he'd beat Luis Ortiz. Joe Joyce, I don't think he'd beat Joe Joyce. Filip Pergovic, I don't think he'd beat Filip Pergovic. Frank Sanchez, I don't think he'd beat Frank Sanchez, stylistically. So if you look at the top 10, there's only one guy there who I would absolutely pick Andy Ruiz to beat, and that is Luis Ortiz. And that's because of age. A few years ago, I'd pick Ortiz to win. But apart from that, he could lose to all of those guys. I think people go way over the top with Andy Ruiz. Way over the top. Stevens got Ruiz over Wilder. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. Again, it depends what Wilder has left. No doubt about it. But I don't know. Yeah, that was damage control. They made him out to be something he was, they made him out to be some sort of killer when in reality he wasn't. He was a 14-1 underdog going into that fight. He wasn't top 10 rated by Ring. He wasn't considered a top 10 heavyweight at the time. That's the reality. He's got one win over Joshua, and apart from that, he's done nothing. He's done nothing. He's a guy going life and death with Chris Arreola. So how good is this guy? Bro, even Luis Ortiz, man, it'll be competitive. It'll be competitive, in my opinion. Now, Ruiz Hunter's a good fight. That is true. Is Wilder going to fight him? That's true. Wilder is bad, really bad, like Down syndrome bad. But, Ruiz is like morbidly obese. Punch resistance appears to be going. People with Down syndrome do have Down syndrome strength. So maybe that gives Wilder the win. Who knows? Miller versus Ruiz or Kaunaki would be a good fight. Yeah, Fat Guy Slugfest, I agree. I'd watch those fights. He arguably beat Parker. I mean, yeah, maybe. To me, that could have gone either way. Parker's jab was far more effective. Parker was better on the outside, point scoring. Ruiz landed the harder shots up close. It's what you liked. But I personally felt Parker nicked it. Okay, good fight. Yeah, that's a good fight, Stefan. I like that fight. Vargas versus Liam Smith. That's a good fight. I'd laugh for days if Fat Andy starches delusional Deontay. That is the problem about PBC and these fighters. That is the problem. But that's why I keep on saying about Andy Ruiz Wilder. Both of these guys are PBC, so it makes sense. There's no reason it shouldn't happen. Yeah, I bet those two in the ring would be a really good fight. I think they're friends, though. I think they're friends. So it's not going to happen. Keith Idek. Let's have a look at Keith Idek on Twitter. Bollocks. WBC have given Dillian Whyte until the end of February. Sorry, I'll start this again. WBC have given Dillian Whyte until the end of business February 21st to provide a signed contract for his shot at Tyson Fury's WBC title. Whyte wants more than 20% of a winning bid of $41 million. The WBC ruled last month that an 80-20 split would favour Fury. Okay, so Dillian's got until February 21st to provide a signed contract. Interesting. So the Can Man has a deadline. Interesting. I've got a feeling this is going to be messy now. I don't know, man. I think it will happen, but there's going to be a lot of bitching and moaning, I think. Yeah, he's got a singular better win. Like the Joshua win is a good win. But head to head, I still probably favour Wilder. Basically, yeah. Yeah, Whyte needs to take his loss and just let the division move on. He's going to get schooled. Rocky Fielding's been calling out Plant and Benavidez, but wants at least $1 million. What a joker. What a joker. Yeah. But, that's normal, though, After a purse bid's been won, they get to a certain time frame for when they have to sign their bout agreement, sorry, or contract, whatever. So that's normal. That's normal. Yeah, this weekend, Nordic. Believe it or not, that's the fight I've been looking forward to most this year so far. In regards to what's coming up soon, I've been looking forward to that fight. Looking forward to it. I probably prime for prime. I might take Russell in a razor close points win. But it's a hard fight to call. It's not really about the title, is it, Vector? It's about the money. It's about the money. The worst thing the WBC did, though, was awarding the interim title for no reason. There was no need for an interim title. Not really. Bro, that'd be amazing. They need to do that on big fights when it's purse bids. They need to televise these fucking or live stream them. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. I'd probably agree. I'd say, yeah, if Salido was allowed to foul, he would probably win. Fair fight, Gary scores him. I'd say Gary wins a tough fight. A tough fight. Salido was extremely crafty. Always gets on the blind side of the referee. Thoughts on Stephen Robinson? Big lump, but he looks pretty shit, to be honest. I don't rate him. He seems like a nice guy, though. Got a fun style, so I wish him the best, but I don't rate him at all. I really don't. Yeah, people were getting upset about that, but it's reality. All he really said was female boxing is not as popular as men's boxing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And he drew the comparison to women's football compared to the Premier League, and that's reality. And people were getting up in their feelings about it and virtue signaling. Like, these people know what he's saying is correct. They're just trying to get cheap likes on Twitter. That's all they're doing, man. That's all they're doing. He's right. Yeah, jab that like button. Jab that like button. Indeed. It's got a small minority of fans, but I don't know anybody personally who likes it. When I watch boxing with my friends, let's say it's a Joshua card or a pay-per-view card, whatever. When there's a female fight on the undercard, everybody sighs. Even females who watch it with us, everybody sighs. Not many people are into it. That's a reality. A lot of it is just forced. Hence why most of these fights are always on male undercards. So there's not. We'll see where it goes, man. But I don't like it personally. I don't like it. That's one thing I rate about the PBC. Like Al Heyman, he doesn't fuck with that. He doesn't fuck with female boxing, Al Heyman. Complain about the PBC all you want. But fair play to Uncle Al, based Al Heyman. Yeah, I mean that looks like a cut and dry case. Boxing that looks like a cut and dry case. See, I'm not one of these types who automatically believes the victim, as they say on social media. I'll take every case and the evidence provided at face value and make an opinion. So, for example, Rolly Romero, I always thought that was bullshit based on what we saw. But that Mason Greenwood one, he looks done. I think he's done. I think he did it. I think he's fucked. And if he did do it, lock him up for a long, long time. tear up his contract with Man United and lock him up. Based on Heyman. To be fair, yeah, the PBC Showtime cards, the regular Showtime cards have been pretty good in the last 12 months. They have been pretty good. Most of the shit goes to Fox. That's what it seems like. Most of the bullshit goes to Fox. Like the shit pay-per-views and that. Honestly, I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I think it's because after what he, after all those people came for him, because he said something on a podcast. I don't know what he said, but he was accused of being racist. I think he was he on Steve Kim's podcast or something like that? And he was accused of being racist. I think he's picking Charlo to try and, you know, act like he's not, or, you know, put that image out there that he's not. That's what I think it's about. That's what I think it's about. Because I know Paulie saw the Korobov fight. I know Paulie saw the Maciel fight. There's no way Charlo beats Canelo. I can't see it. Yeah, that's my problem, G-Man. It just seems, to me, female boxing just seems extremely forced. Extremely forced. It's like every other card, particularly with the zone. You know, it's mainly the zone. Like every the zone card I see, there's a female fight, and I don't think there's a need for it. Like maybe have all female cards, or a couple of all female cards, to stop diluting the quality of the other cards. That's what I would say, and at least then you can gauge metrics for how popular or not popular female boxing is. If you have an entire card of female boxing, you can get a gauge for where it's at. But when you conflate it with male boxing, you can't really tell. You can say, oh, more women are turning pro, more women are fighting on TV, but it's forced. It's not natural, you know. Until I don't know, man. It's not for me. If people like it, fair enough, but it's not for me. It's not for me. Yeah, like Fox commentary is horrible. Horrible. It's hard to say. Like they have the biggest sports network in the UK behind them, so potentially they could get big in the UK if they make the right signings, make the right noise. They could get big. They could get big, as in like be a serious competitor to Eddie Hearn. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. I've got a couple of bits to do. Need to do some chores. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll try and stream before the week is out. We shall see. Anyway, smash that like. Hopefully you have a good week. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.